Today's video we are going to have a play with these beautiful silk ribbons and make some summer flowers. Hi everybody, my name is Sarah Homfray. Welcome to my channel, Sarah Homfray Embroidery, a place for everything hand embroidery. We've got loads of videos on all sorts of different topics and different techniques and different materials and different projects, loads of stuff on there. Click on my little channel logo and head to the channel and see what other videos we've got and see if there's something that you might like. So we've got 5 different flowers that I am going to show you today, and before we get going on those I'm just going to talk through my setup. So I've got my design drawn onto my fabric. This design is available for you to download for free from the free stuff page on our website. If you just go to the description below this video you can click on that link and download that. And I've got that drawn onto some cotton fabric, got a calico backing behind that, and this is held in a versatile table clamp so that I've got both hands free to use. And then I'm just going to show you the ribbons. Oh, got them caught already. So beautiful silk ribbons. These are 100% silk. Satin ribbon doesn't really work so well. It really does need to be silk. These are available in our shop at the time of filming. If you're watching 10 years down the line, I can't guarantee that they'll still be in the shop. I might be retired and on the beach by that point. But they are at the moment if you're watching this when it's just gone up. And we've got some 2mm ribbons, we've got some 4mm as well, and some 7mm. Some of them are variegated so they change colour. And these are the ones I'm going to use. I will list these on that PDF for you, so if you want to know the colours and the size of ribbons in this project, do check out that PDF. Now I've drawn my designs onto the fabric with a water erasable pen. I like using these because it's just a bit forgiving, and if you've got a mark on that you don't want, you can just wash it off with a little bit of water in a brush, but you could use a fine black pen as well. Make sure it's a permanent one, and just mark on the very minimum that you need to do the stitches. So you can see what I've drawn on here, just some stems. I've not drawn flower shapes. For the daisies, this is going to be the daisies here, I've got little dots around it just so I know where the petals are going to finish. The roses just need some circles. So everything that's on the design is all you need to stitch the flowers, so just mark those on as carefully and as finely as you can before you get going. So I'm going to start with the lavender. Nice easy ribbon work stitch for the lavender, but all of these flowers bar the roses have got stems on them, and I've actually stitched the stems in a stranded cotton. You can do them in a ribbon, in a fine silk ribbon, but they look a little bit bulky and I think it works a bit nicer with the embroidery thread. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show you what I've done now. I've done a stem stitch for all of these flowers, so it's the same stitch throughout, but I'll just show you the ones on the lavender. So I've got 2 strands of a stranded cotton. Got that in a number 9 embroidery needle. You can use a 10 if you could thread a 10, use a 10. If you can't thread your needle, then get a bigger needle. You know, there's no point struggling with that. I'm just going to show you how I do a knot. So it's on my finger, needle goes over the thread, round once, round twice, pull the thread back down, pull the needle up all the way through, and you just get a little knot on the end, and that's just going to be my starting knot, my waist knot. That's going to get cut off later, so I'm going to start that on the top because I've got it in my clamp. I've got 2 hands free, so it's easy to start and finish on the top, and then you just do your 2 little starting stitches, 1, 2, as small as you can get these, straight up and down. I'm just going to start on the end there, and I'm just going to do a stem stitch. So it's an overlapping stitch, a little forward stitch. I've got my loop to the left because I'm coming downwards. That's stem stitch. I've got a video on that if you want to know the technicalities and the difference between stem stitch and outline stitch. It doesn't really matter, just keep the loop to the same side each time. Nobody's going to know. And I'm just going to go all the way straight down, straight line, doing that stem stitch. And as I said, this is the same stitch for all the flowers, so you could just, if you wanted to have a go at all 5 together like I'm doing, you could just put all the stems in one go. Come up in the middle, pull it tight so each stitch overlaps the last one. When you've done a little bit of stitching you can just cut that knot off. It's nice and neat and tidy on the back and on the front, you're not fighting anything. And that's literally all there is to it. Forward stitch loop, back up in the middle of the 2 stitches, pull it tight and head down. So I'm going to go right to the bottom with this. all the way down to here. I could probably finish that, or I might weave the thread through back up on there and do these 2 stems as well in exactly the same way. So I shall do that before we get on with the ribbon. So my 3 stems finished. That's all there is to it, nice and simple. You could do a back stitch if you're not confident with the stem stitch, it doesn't matter, just something that's quite fine to work your stems in. And I'm just going to turn it over now because I want to show you how to finish that thread and how to start a silk ribbon as well. So let me just show you the silk ribbon I'm going to use for the lavender. So this nice beautiful lavender coloured one, purple one here, this is a 4mm silk ribbon, and what I'm going to do is thread it in a chenille needle. Now this is a chenille needle, a long thin eye, so it takes the ribbon and doesn't crush the ribbon. This is a size 22, I think 22 or 24 will be okay for this, and you can see that that's got an angle cut on it, that ribbon, and that's quite important because that allows us to thread it in the needle. So I'm going to do that first. Now the way to secure it, I've just taken that through the eye and stopped it there, and then I'm going to poke the point through the ribbon. So that end that I've cut at an angle, and I've gone back through the ribbon with the needle, and then I'm just going to hold the needle. I'm going to pull on the long end and it attaches itself to the needle. That's the easiest way to use silk ribbon. It stops it coming undone, and it means you can use the whole length of the silk ribbon as well. So once you've attached it, you need to start that off. So I'm going to turn this over and show you how to do that on the back. So this is my thread on the back from my stem stitch. I just want to show you how to finish this off. So I'm just going to go back on myself and take it underneath a couple of those stitches that I've stitched previously, just a few times. Come unthreaded, just rethread that. So 2 or 3 times, and then on the last one, let's do that once more so you can see what I'm doing. There's a loop there. I'm just going to take the needle back through the loop. That sort of forms a knot underneath one last time. And you can cut that off, and that's really secure then. It's not going to come undone on the back at all. And then while we're here, we're going to start our silk ribbon. So I just want to show you the length of that. Now the silk ribbon goes quite a long way. For a normal thread length, I would go fingertips to the inside of my elbow. That's a little bit too much with the silk, so just come a little bit in from your elbow. That sort of length, that's plenty. It does go further than you think, this silk ribbon. And I'm going to start at the top here. So all I'm going to do is just to come under that fabric. Now this is where a backing fabric is really worthwhile using. I've got a whole video on how to do that. Do check that out if you want to know about backing fabrics and what to use and why to use and how to use it. But it definitely comes into its own for silk ribbon because I can just go underneath that backing fabric. I'm not going through the front. I can feel that with my finger. Just catch a little bit of that. Pull the silk ribbon through till you've just got that little end there. Go back through that end with the needle. Pull that tight, and you're just looping basically that ribbon around a little bit of the backing fabric. And that's nice and secure. There's no knots, there's no weaving, there's no stitching it down or anything. It's super easy, and I'm going to start all my ribbon threads like that. So definitely worth doing that once I do use a backing fabric to help you with that. So nice and easy stitch to start off with, just a straight stitch. It's literally all we're going to do with this. And I'm going to start at the top. Now with silk ribbon, just have a little bit of control over it. So if you've got something you can use to control the ribbon, this is a malure, this is a goldwork laying tool. You don't need a malure, you can use a big needle if you like instead. I shall use the needle and see how we get on with that, and then we might use the malure in a bit. So you want to have control about when your silk ribbon twists, and I don't want it to twist at the moment. So you can see I'm just laying that flat there. I'm just going to pinch that with my thumb and my finger, and go down at the end of the green stem, and then where I've pinched it, you can see how that's lying nice and smooth. And if I just pull it down carefully, I just get a straight stitch. That's all there is to it. I'm just going to do loads of those, and I don't mind too much now if it twists a little bit. I'm going to do a couple like that because you don't want it too uniform. This is a flower, it's not an exercise in how symmetrical we get everything. So if you want to twist it, and it does twist a little bit, it's absolutely okay. Sometimes we won't want it to do that, but I just wanted to show you how you can control it if you want to. And I'm just going to come down the one side. So coming up out from the stem, you can see that angle that I'm doing. Into the stem. That one's gone a bit flat, so I'm going to flatten it out again. So I'm going to untwist the ribbon, needle underneath, just make sure that's flat. There we go, that's a bit more chunky. I'm going to go over that one again because that's a little bit flat there. Let's use them all. You can see what I'm doing with that. So I've just got something underneath here. You can use a big tapestry needle if you don't have one of these, and you can control it down and help to lay that ribbon down. So that can be a really useful tool. And that's all there is to it, just a straight stitch in the ribbon. Don't pull the ribbon too tightly. If you pull it too tightly, it'll go really straight and it'll lose its shape. It won't look very nice. I'll just pull one tightly so you can see what I mean. And you see that just disappears, that ribbon shape disappears, and it's even pulled the previous one. So I'm just going to loosen those up again. So a nice, not a loose tension on it, but just a nice gentle tension to pull it down. Put another one in there. So you need to be nice and relaxed to do this. Don't do this if you're really stressed. Right, then I'm going to go up the other side at that angle, so come away from the stem down into it. It's always good to go down next to the thread if you can. If I try and come up there, I start catching the thread and catching the ribbon that's already there. So come up away, angle my needle towards the stem, just guide it down nice and gently. That's all there is to it. Nice simple one to start with, and the ribbon just does its own thing. It'll just look nice and petal like without any effort really. It's quite hard to make silk ribbon embroidery look bad. So I'm just going to go all the way to the top. That's all I'm going to do with this one. So continue up to there, then I'm going to just jump over to here. I'm going to go down this one as well, up and round that one and up and round that one, and then we'll have a look what that looks like. And up and down both sides, looking very lavender-like, I think you'll agree. And I'll show you how to finish the ribbon off in a second, but I'm just going to put some leaves in first. So I've started my green silk on the back, just the same way as I did with the lavender, just catch that little bit of the backing fabric on the back. And this is a 2mm ribbon, so we're getting quite fine with it now, but the lavender has like kind of long, slender leaves. So I'm going to use this finer ribbon, and I'm going to sort of just do some in a slightly different way. Now I'm going to have these leaves looking a little bit different. Now you don't have loads of control over the silk ribbon, so just let it do its thing a little bit. You know, that's quite nice. It'll just fold the way it wants to fold, so don't worry too much about if it's not quite what you want it to do. So I'm going to take a leaf up the side here, and I'm going to go through the middle of the ribbon now. This is actually called a ribbon stitch when you go through the middle, and you'll see what happens if I just pull that down really slowly, and it'll just fold in on itself. You just get a little point and it'll just start to pull that in. Again, don't pull it too tight because your leaf shape will disappear, and that's just a beautiful shape actually. Sometimes it comes out just as you want it to, and I'm going to just overlap a couple of leaves I think. So I'm just going to come through the middle there. So we've got a little sprig if you like, and this time I'm going to twist this. I'm going to twist my needle, this ribbon twist up. You can see that against my top there. So this will make a nice thin one, hopefully. Let's twist a bit more. And I'm going to go back down to the centre there. And I'm just doing a straight stitch for that one. I'm not going back through it. Again, not too tight. These leaves are sort of supposed to be on the top. And I'm going to come back out where I came down. That will save me some ribbon on the back so I can go in and out the same way. And let's try another one at the side. See if we can do a nice kind of loopy one over here. So I'm going to go back through the ribbon again. So that's a ribbon stitch. Nice and slowly pull it down. Slowly. Not going to pull it any tighter than that. And let's put another one in here. Oops. Finger on that one. I pull that through. And let's do another slightly twisted one down to here. Do we want one more? I think we will just put one little one in over here, perhaps. Odds always look nicer than evens, so do 5 rather than 4. What should we do with this one? Let's see how that's sitting. So I'm just going to go back through the middle of that one again, right on that stem there. It's kind of coming over the top, really like that. Let's see if we can get it to stay there. Yes, we can. So 5 little leaves, dead easy. So a mix of straight stitch and some ribbon stitch where we go through the middle, just nice and gentle on that tension. Let them come off the surface a little bit, be a bit 3-dimensional. I'm just going to show you how to finish off that green silk ribbon. So I'm just going to weave it underneath. Now if I pull on this, my leaf on the front will go really tight. So I've just got my finger on the leaf on the other side of it, just holding that in place, and just very carefully I'm going to go under a few stitches. If you can't get under a stitch, you can pick up a little bit of that backing fabric again. Oops, a little bit more than that. And just nice and gently, we don't want to pull all our leaves tight on the front. So once you've done a couple, you should be okay. So just going to go back and forth a few times, just like I did with my green thread really. It's better not to go through some ribbon if you can help it, because if you do that then it can pull on the ribbon and you'll misshape whatever it is on the front that you've gone through. So just back and forth a few times. So I'm happy that's secure. Cut that off. There we go, and you can just fiddle and just pull them up a little bit, and it just needs one more thing. I'm going to put a little bow on it. I do like the ribbon bows. So I've just got a slightly different purple colour, threaded it in the needle, not done that starting thing, just gone through the needle. So I can take it through on that side, up on this side, take it off the needle. I'm just going to tie a little bow. Put your finger on the knot and just pull that down. You get it facing the right way, tighten it up, pull it a little bit more, tighten it up, and you can either leave those ends like that, or I quite like to take mine through to the back, just a bit more secure and stops them pulling out. Like so. Slightly different place. Let's take that onto the back, and then I'll finish these off the same way I've just done that green one. Just weave them under a bit of the fabric so that they don't come undone. And that is my lavender finished. So let's look at the next flower. So we're going to have a look at Daisy next. Just before that, some super thank yous to say. So thank you to Denise, hi Denise, Cecile, Margaret, Elizabeth, Stacey, Laurie and Azana Queen. That sounds very exotic, lovely name that. Thank you very much for clicking the super thanks button and supporting this channel by doing so. And if you're enjoying this video and you're enjoying the other videos and you want to show your appreciation and you want to click the super thanks button, that would be really appreciated. Anything we make goes back into the filming studio, into equipment, so that we can keep making these videos for you. So thank you very much guys, it's appreciated. So I put my stems in for my daisies, so exactly the same as before, 2 strands, stem stitch, I forgot what the stitch was then, stem stitch for that, and I'm going to start in the centre. So you can do ribbon, you can do normal embroidery stitches in silk ribbon, most of them transfer across, and this is no exception. So we're going to do some French knots. And if I just bring my ribbon up, started that on the back, so I've got a 2mm yellow ribbon now, and I'm going to do the centres of the daisy in some French knots. So we're going to go over once, back under, pull that down tight to the fabric, pull that bit tight before you pull it through to the back, and that's your French knot. So just loads of those. Now if French knots are difficult for you, if you're finding them a bit tricky, do check out our Ultimate Guide to French Knots video, and that will explain how to do them. I'll break down the process, little things to look out for if they're not quite going right, and how you can fix them. So do check out that videos if you're struggling with these, because they are a lovely stitch. and it's well worth knowing how to do French knots in any kind of thread. They're exactly the same in the silk ribbon as they are in normal thread. Up and back, keep the tension on, pull it tight and down through to the back. I'm just going to fill that centre in these knots, and you can see how beautifully they come out in the silk ribbon, no differently at all. So filling in that shape, and then we'll look at the white petals. So just a little cluster of them there in the middle, nice and tightly together. Now I'm going to do the petals. I've got a 4mm white ribbon now, and we're going to do what we did initially. So I'm going to use my laying tool to help me here. I'm just going to again do a straight stitch for this, nothing fancy for this, and I've got my little dots just marking where I want my petals to go. I'll start with this one. Just use your tool just to guide it down slowly. Again, don't pull it too tight, you want them to be nice and petal like. Let's go back this way, and I found with these is you don't want too many petals in. Make them a bit longer at the front. Just guide it down slowly, slowly, slowly. And then I'm going to go right over the stem with this one. I just took the stem sort of not quite to the centre, but just if that does show through underneath these. I'm just going to go to the side there, and at least I've got the stem behind there, and it doesn't look like it's stuck on top like a lollipop. And just all the way around, and they're going to get shorter as they go around the top, so it looks like we're looking at the daisy from a bit of an angle rather than straight down on the top. Just makes it a little bit more realistic. Now I'm coming from the centre and going out because I can make that nice shape, but you can go the other way if you want to. Because we're just doing the straight stitch and nothing fancy is happening with the ribbon, I can come up here and go down the other way. You notice when I'm pulling that through, I'm not pulling on that. If I pull tightly on this one, this goes really tight. So just nice and relaxed throughout. This is nice mindful embroidery technique, so it just makes you slow down. So I can go in the other way if I like as well. Just controlling that down all the way around. A little shorter ones as we go around the top, so it looks like they're disappearing around the back. And then just let the ribbon do the rest for you. It's so beautiful to use this ribbon. So easily makes these stitches. You couldn't really do quite the same effect in thread. I have got daisies in normal embroidery stitches. You can check out our 10 embroidered flowers video. That's 10 flowers all done in a stranded cotton. So if you want to see that, if you don't have silk threads, you can still do these stitches, but just slightly different for the stranded cotton. So do check out that video if you haven't seen that yet. All the way around. Try and turn them around with the change of the circle. So in fact, sometimes coming from the outside maybe is a bit easier just to turn that petal. Doesn't matter, you can go either way with this. And I think we'll just get one more in there. So they're not difficult stitches to do. I think people look at silk ribbon embroidery and think, oh, that's really difficult, I'm not ready for that. But actually, if you're gentle with the ribbon, it's actually not a difficult technique to do. The ribbon does most of the work for you. So we're round one of the daisies. So I shall nip over here and do the other one, and then we'll look at some leaves. They look super nice, these daisies, really, really effective. So I'm going to put a few leaves in the bottom as if they were like sitting in the grass. So I've got a ribbon that matches the thread. So you may notice throughout this that I try and match the stems with the ribbon that I'm using for the leaves. So it looks like it's all the same plant. So we've got a 4mm, nice sort of warm, mossy kind of coloured green. And I'm going to put a few leaves in. Now I'm just, again, as before, just going to curl it a bit and just see what it sort of does. Let it do its ribbon thing. Nice and slowly. It's got quite a nice little curl on it. I'm going to go up to here. I think just put a little bit of a curl on that one. Back down to the bottom. Let's put sort of 3 on each stem, I think, 3 bits of grass. This one's curling quite nicely. Let's go through that one. So that one's the ribbon stitch when you go back through the ribbon, otherwise they're just straight stitches. And let's go to the bottom of this other one here. Let's do a great big long one. Like so. A little shorter one there. To the bottom, let's just do a straight stitch for that one. And then I've just got enough ribbon for one more leaf, so that's handy. Try not to sort of line everything up, so either make this one shorter than that one or longer than that one. I think we'll go, don't know, a longer one, I think. That just makes it look a bit more natural, and we'll just put a little bit of a twist on that, take that behind there. So just a few kind of leaves, look like a bit of a grass to go with the daisies. So I'm going to call that done, and we'll move on to the next flower. So these ones are a little bit different now, and we're going to look at some carnations, and these are great if you want to use up a little bit of leftover ribbon. So if you've got little ends, there's a little bit left over from the lavender, so you've got little ends, don't throw them away because they make really good carnations, and that length is almost perfect, could even be a bit shorter than that, so save those little ends because they are good for these. So I'm going to actually use a variegated ribbon for this one, and it's quite nice if we get the variegated bit in the middle, so I'm going to actually cut through there, maybe about that long, so you compare that to my finger, might be a touch long. Save those little bits because we're going to do a few of these, and I'm actually going to sew this. So I've got a single strand of stranded cotton, more or less, that matches. You won't really see this thread, so it doesn't matter too much if it's not exact match. And all I'm going to do is to thread it onto the needle and do a little running stitch along it. So you can do it in one kind of movement, just gather it up all the way through the middle of the ribbon and right to the end. Like so. So it's threaded onto my thread, if you like, so there you can see it with the running stitch all the way through. And this is the magic bit, so if I put the needle back through the end, and I'll do this slowly because this is always fun to watch this, and just pull it down and it gathers up into a little flower. They're so cute. And then what you need to do is sort of manage it a little bit. So if I just pull on that quite tight, it more or less does what you want it to do, really, but you can then just use that if you want, just to tuck an end in and put a couple of stitches in just to hold it in place. I always think that's worthwhile doing, so it doesn't move around. It's only really held on that one bit where you've gathered it, so it's worth just a couple of stitches. So I'm just coming from the outside and then just angling my needle just through a little bit of that silk and down into the middle. So let's do another one. Let's do a different bit of the colour now, so let's do that darker one next to it. So exactly the same as before, just run a running stitch all the way down the middle of that thread, little stitches, don't do them too big. Equally don't do them too small. Hopefully you can see that clearly, and it's gathering it up on the needle. If you need to stop and just pull it through because it's getting a bit unmanageable, you can, but do go right to the end of the ribbon. Like so. Push it to the bottom, take the needle through the end of that ribbon. That's just a little bit of extra security. Just as simple as that. How easy are they? And they look really beautiful. And they do look nice in the variegated just because you get that slight change in the flowers. They're still the same flowers, but just a slight change in colour. And then just a couple of stitches from the outside to the in just to hold it in place. So I'm going to do a little bunch of those. Maybe about 5, something like that on the top. And I'm going to add some leaves on as well. A little bunch of flowers on the top, and again the same with the leaves. So I'm using the 2mm green ribbon just to make some leaves for this. And if you can overlap them a bit as well, it just does look a bit more natural. Let's come over the top and see what that looks like, and you can lay it down before so you can just check, see if you like that or not. Let's do a little one off over here. That's quite nice, little fold. Let's see if we can get that to stay. Where should we go now? Let's go on there. There are quite a lot of leaves, these carnations. You can twist it again. You can have fun with the leaves. See what you can create. And I'm going to do some as well behind these, as if they were behind. So I'm just going to do a few. Oops, pulled that a bit tight. Loosen that off a bit. As if the leaves were behind, going behind the flowers. That just adds another bit of a dimension to it. So on there, and let's do one up here. Make it a different height. It really does look like the flowers are sitting in a bunch of leaves. It's hard to know to stop. I think I will stop there, and then just a little bow on that one as well. Got a nice bright pink for this one. Just finishes it off, makes it to a little bouquet. And just take those ends through to the back and tie them off. So that is our carnations. Great for finishing those little leftover bits of ribbon, so don't throw those away. Let's do some tulips now. So I'm going to switch up now to a different ribbon. So now I'm going to go to a 7mm ribbon. So we're getting quite wide now. So use the larger chenille needle. So number 22 for a size 7 and a number 24 for a 4mm and a 2mm. And use a slightly shorter length as well, because this can wear a little bit more easily now it's going through the fabric. So what I'm going to do is start at the top of one of the stems and just put a little padding stitch in. So we're going to work our tulip flower over this. So that's going to go underneath, and then just come up to the side. Again, I'm just going to use my laying tool or a needle just to control that down, and the needle goes back into the end of the stem. So that's like the side petal. We'll do another one of those to the other side. Let's guide that down, and then a great big one over the top. And because we're using the wider ribbon, hopefully that will all flatten out a little bit and make us a nice big juicy tulip. So you see I'm just guiding that down. Ribbon's nice and wide. Getting a really good tulip shape. I do like those. So let's do another one here. Let's bunch these up a little bit. We're going to get this change of colour come in now in this variegated ribbon, which is really nice. So little padding stitch first, petal to the left, petal to the right, and then a big one over the top. And you can hear the noise that's making. That's the larger ribbon going through. So a little bit tougher, but it's okay if you just switch to that larger needle. Slowly over the top. So 3 more of those and then some leaves. So there's my 5 tulips. I got in there, work really well. Just those layers of the ribbon on top really make them stand out. They look beautiful. So I'm going to do the leaves in a variegated as well. This is a green, obviously. It's only slight variations on this, so it sort of goes warm green and slightly cooler green. But they have quite nice big petals, the tulips. So petals, leaves. So we're just going to do this flat stitch and see if we can't just get that ribbon to lie nice and flat. That's perfect. Let's do one coming down the middle. Like so. Try and get them to lie nice and flat. Just straight stitches again for this one. Make it a bit taller. Do a big long leaf. Long leaf, tall leaf. Into that point there. Little bow to finish off my little bunch of tulips. So just slight variations each time, just a change of width of silk or just a slight change in how you do the leaves, and a bit of padding can just change the thing you want to stitch easily, and you can apply it to lots of different flowers. So one more flower to go. So I have done roses quite a few times in different videos. I'm going to do woven wheels. So you may have seen these before, but I can't really do a video about ribbon embroidered flowers and not put roses in, and they're so pretty as well, so I'm going to do them again because I like them. And I'm also going to use a variegated thread and show you what that looks like. So the variegated silk ribbon, because that's very beautiful. So the first thing we have to do is put our spokes in. So we're going to weave around these. So I'm using 4 strands of a stranded cotton, roughly the same colour that I'm going to do my roses in, but again, you're not really going to see this, so it doesn't matter too much. The spokes are marked in on that free PDF, so you can just trace those onto your fabric. You don't have to worry about where to put them, because I've done that bit for you. Doesn't matter too much either if they're not perfectly accurate, but from the edge down into the middle of the circle. Jump over here and do this one at the same time. So just put the spokes in for all 3 first. So I've got my 7mm ribbon again in the 22 chenille, and this is a variegated one, so it goes kind of yellow to peachy to orangey, which is really pretty. So I'm going to do the large one in this colour. So we're just going to weave it over and under the spokes. So over the first one, under the second. It doesn't matter if you go under the first and over the second. You just need to make sure you go alternately now, so otherwise it won't work. Which is why it's got an odd number of spokes in it, because we're weaving, so 5 or 7. And you're just going to go out, and you can twist that up a little bit, and that'll give you more petal kind of like shapes. Under, over, under. The good thing about having a frame is I can just push it up from underneath, and that makes it easy to get it under these spokes. And just all the way round, and again just let the ribbon do its ribbon thing. They are so beautiful, A in ribbon and B in the variegated ribbon. You see I'm not pulling too hard on these. These are looking like petals. If I pull really hard on this ribbon, it will, those beautiful petal shapes will disappear. So just really nice and loose tension on this. You can just pull that back to see if you can't see to get under. So go around as far as you can go with this, even when you think you can't go any further. You usually can go around again. So just push the petals out the way and get under that spoke there. Under that one. I think we're almost there. Let's go under once more. And then what you can do, which I like to do, is just put a few extra ones in with some stitches. So they're basically kind of almost like a stem stitch really. And you can make these ones a bit bigger, coming up in the fabric, just underneath that petal. See how I moved it out of the way? Over the top, around here. You can just add them wherever you like. now around the edge. So if you think it's looking a bit squashed on one side like that one is, you can just add another petal in. They look just so beautiful. Maybe just jump around here and put one more in on this side, and you can see those colour changes. It's a bit more yellow in the middle, a bit more peachy around the edge, and that yellow's just coming back in again now, so get those beautiful changes. As simple as that, and they just look so effective, these ones. They really are beautiful. So I'm going to do the 2 smaller ones and another variegated thread, but a 4mm one this time. So scale your ribbon to the size of the thing you're stitching, so a little bit smaller, so 4mm ribbon. I'm going to work these 2 and we'll put some leaves on it. I'm going to work the leaves in the variegated, as I said. And I'm just putting these in by eye. Don't really need to draw these in, so I'm going to put 3 in on the end, and I'm doing that ribbon stitch again when we go back through the ribbon. So do a little V of them, so one that way, through the ribbon. Just take it back a little bit, so don't pull it tight and do it. If you just put the needle in and just pull it back a touch up, give that leaf a nice shape. Slowly, 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 and then we'll do 1 in the middle. Get it in the middle, there we go. And just push it up a bit. And do little groups of them, so I'll do another little group just coming out here. So I'm just going to do 2 here. See that colour change coming in a little bit, that nice warm green's coming in now. So 1 little V shape, 2. Roses had loads of leaves on, so you can't really put too many in, but we're just going to do 2 on each bit. Go 3 at the end, 2 in the middle, and then another 3 at the other end. So last one in to finish off my little roses. And if you're going to have a go at some silk ribbon flowers, then definitely do the roses. They are so pretty, definitely my favourite. Last one, there we go, just finishes that off nicely. So I shall just turn that over, weave that silk ribbon in underneath, and then I shall call that done. So this is what they all look like together. I just wanted to show you the whole thing, and I think it looks really pretty, and a few different stitches there, and hopefully some ideas on how to handle the ribbon and how you can change things up a little bit to make lots of different kinds of flowers. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing that and inspired to have a go at some silk ribbon embroidery. Even if you're a beginner, it's very manageable for you, I promise, and it's a very beautiful technique. The backing fabric is quite important with this technique, so if you want to learn more about backing fabrics and how to use them, then do check out this video up here. I'll tell you what you can use and how you can use it in your embroidery. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, it's always appreciated, and I'll see you all next time.